All right, guys, we are live with a very special guest, draft prospect, former UCLA defensive end slash linebacker, Oluwafemi in the building.
Was
And I'm
Hannon.
really excited to get into this conversation. We're going to talk all things NFL draft process, how he got here, and where we think he's going. But you guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and we're going to get into a great conversation right after this. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Let's go. We got the Sourdough Squad welcoming in our very special guest. Man, I could see you got the UCLA field back behind you. You getting ready for the draft, working out, doing all that good stuff? What you been doing these days as the draft is less than a month away?
Yeah, man. I think just staying in shape, making sure I'm taking care of my cardio, making sure I'm taking care of my strength, mobility, stretching, core, just being a great athlete overall. And, I'm done with school now, so being able to develop into things that I want, get into in my future and things like that.
Absolutely. I got a question for you based on kind of like training. Does it change? Do you have like a certain process for combine training? And then as that is over, you kind of shift gears to more training for on-field stuff. Is that something that's real for you guys?
100%. So for me, I trained in Dallas, Texas. I was there the last 3 months up until 3 weeks ago. So when I first got there, I was training, yes, for the combine, but also the Senior Bowl. So with that being said, I had a lot of more training on the field as well with a personal trainer who was a D-line specialist. After the Senior Bowl, it was more so, okay, really combine focused. Still doing on the field things and the drills on at the combine, but it wasn't as focused as much as getting prepared for a season. So now I'm back to that regimen.
Awesome, awesome. So I kind of want to jump in, kind of start with the beginning of your process, and then kind of lead up to where we're at now. So you're a Cali kid, right? You
Cali,
grew up Sacramento, right?
back
Elk Grove
down.
area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And then of course you stayed in California, going to Cal, transferring to UCLA. So got that Cali blood in you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask if you don't feel comfortable answering. Don't worry. Any chance you grew up a 49er fan, being in this area? And if it's the Raiders, it's okay. That's okay as well. And if it's neither, that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep that on the low. I'll keep that
Yeah,
personal for right now just because of the process that we in.
of course, of course. That makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk about that process for you. Going to Cal and then being able to go to UCLA. Do you feel like going through the transfer portal, going to from one kind of program to another, having to reestablish yourself, learn new teammates, new coaching staff? Do you feel like that helps you in this process, kind of in like preparing you for that next level of knowing what it's like, or like what you have to do when you land in a new place?
Nah, 100%. I definitely think it helped me out. I think not even just in football, but in life, just how to be pliable and flexible and adaptable to new surroundings, new environments, new people, even. So I think it definitely helped me and it shaped me to be who I am in this current moment.
Absolutely. And a big part of kind of your college process was about transitioning. So, like, you went from playing off ball linebacker, at Cal, and then even up until your final year at UCLA, you started 2 games at linebacker. And then I'm assuming your coach came to you and was like, listen, we need you at edge. This is what's best for our team. What did that conversation look like for you? And like, How did you approach that when a coach came to you said, "Hey, we might need you on a position that maybe you haven't played or been super comfortable at?"
Yeah. So it happened after the Indiana game, which was the second week of the season, and going into season, we already kind of knew that our linebacker room was the most stacked position on the team. So it was therefore, okay, how can we get the most linebackers on the field? But after the Indiana game, we took a tough loss, and going into practice on Tuesday, Coach Malloy, our defensive coordinator, I just spoke to him. He came up to me and was like, "Hey, we want to put your edge this week and see how it goes." And I was fired up for it, honestly. I had no problem with it. Funny enough, at the end of the previous year, my junior year, in my head, I was like, man, I might, be an edge player just because of how heavy I was. I was
Okay.
250. I was 256 at Mike, 257 at Mike, and I could do it, but it's not that day and age anymore. Fair
Right.
Warner's 223, 225, maybe 230, approximately, right? So, going down the edge, it was kind of a week by week thing, and just continue to progress, and now we're here.
So did you feel like that when you made that move of going to being standing up to putting your hand in the dirt, going head up against tackles. What was like the biggest learning curve there? Because obviously you're rushing off the edge, you're taking on double teams, you're setting the edge in the run game, you're taking on pullers. What is there much of a difference, or did you feel like, man, this is a natural process
It
for
was,
me?
for the most part, it was very natural. The most natural thing was actually playing the run. That
Okay.
was bread and butter to me. I felt like just use the big body I had and don't get moved and move them instead. I was the biggest transition for me, and it wasn't huge, but it was different. It was just pass rushing, learning different sets and learning when to throw this move and when not to. And I think a part of me just had a motor that was a relentless motor. That was kind of my mindset. So as I've transitioned, even I think the Senior Bowl showed a flash of it. Just continuously improving on my pass rush, and that's just gonna come with the reps on the field, reps with the coaches, and reps with the players. So I feel very comfortable at the edge and versatile.
Do you feel like your experience at off-ball linebacker transitioning to kind of more of a pass rush mentality? Obviously, you said that it was like hand glove fit for run fits because that's what you were doing all day, right? You're reading,
Yeah.
reacting, keying on the offensive lineman, and then you're fitting that gap. So when it goes to, all right, now we got to throw a pass rush move, are you feeling like you're really understanding what these tackles are trying to do, right? Because they're trying to get to their set. That you mentioned the different sets that they have, and now they're kind of baiting you sometimes. They're kind of throwing that hand out, trying to get you to initiate your pass rush move. Are you seeing that whole plan? And is your pass rush plan? Do you feel really confident with where you're at now, opposed to, let's say, week 2, week 3
Oh,
of playing college
100%.
football?
100%. And like I just mentioned, I think the Senior Bowl tape shows you that. Just the knowledge that I've learned and the development I've had, not just physically but also mentally, knowing what tackles want to do and looking at their splits. If their stance is more here, probably a vertical set. If it's more anchored, maybe an angle set, things like that. So it's definitely developed, and I feel a lot more confident with where I'm at currently. But obviously, there's always still room to grow.
Of course, of course. And I mean, it was pretty cool because you make that switch in the middle of the season, which honestly, you asked me, that's a crazy move. Going from a player that plays in space, obviously you're a box guy, but going from that off ball to on the line of scrimmage, that is a huge jump. But it clearly worked. You had 13 and a half tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. And at the end of the year, you were awarded the team's most outstanding defensive lineman. So did that really just kind of solidify, like, all right, you said, like, I already had it in my mind that I was probably going to be headed towards that direction. Did that just solidify, like, yeah, I can do this, and not only can I do this, but I can excel, like, at the next level?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So I think honestly, the first game I played against LSU, that game showed me I could do it. Because like I mentioned, the game plan was just a weak thing, and we played LSU. We lost. It was a close game, but it showed that there was a lot of potential. The next game was Oregon. Oregon was it was okay, it wasn't the best, and then boom, Penn State. That's when I knew okay, I could actually excel at this game at edge. So I would say third week of playing the edge, that's when I knew I could actually do this. So yeah.
And it's pretty crazy because you ultimately earn the Senior Bowl invite, and we know what you did at the Senior Bowl. Like that's why I called you one of the biggest risers out of this class, is because I don't
Appreciate that.
I didn't really I wasn't familiar with your game, kind of like that Shaq meme. And
Yeah.
then after that week, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? I got to learn more. And so what was your mindset and maybe some of your goals heading into that week? Like when you're talking about mental and physical preparation and knowing that you're going to be in front of coaches, scouts, general managers,
Head
and
coaches.
all of.
Yeah, great question. The mindset, if I'm gonna be very blunt, it was just to dominate. That was literally the word that me and my agent came up with, and I'm with Kenny Zuckerman, Priority Sports. Shout out to him. We just had a mindset to go out there and dominate, man, to solidify that on the edge. Because I think some people were questioning, okay, it's raw talent, maybe it's flukish, maybe he just had a few good games. Like I don't know. So the
Right.
mindset was to shut all the narratives up and just dominate that edge. And I'm very grateful to God, man. I thought I did a good job, and yeah,
Yeah, dude, it was pretty fun to watch because for me, when I was, I do a lot of content obviously, but I also like to get to scout a little bit, do a little
yeah,
evaluation. I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie, man. You stood out to me in day one of the warm-up line in sense of like I could kind of sense your energy.
Hmm.
And then throughout the week, it was like, oh, this guy seems like a real legit energy guy. Is that a big part of your game and how you go about? You mentioned relentless motor. That's a energy. I think a correlation to energy. Do you feel like energy leadership? That's something that's just inherent in who you are.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I think like some people ask me where I get it from or where I got it from. I think it's been a mix and variety of things since my childhood. From
Mhm.
watching guys like Ray Lewis or Patrick Willis, LeVar Bowman. I had a chance to talk to him last week. Um, and then Brian Dawkins, and then my coaches in my life, Ken Norton Jr. That was a Niner. He was my
Yeah.
coach. So being able to be on the field with him every day, like it just kind of, and I already had energy when I met him, but it just instilled
Right.
more in me. And it helps you get the best out of people. It helps you to push people. But then once you give energy, you yourself have to match that energy. So I think it's just it's kind of a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? If I'm fired up, I have no option but to go on the field and dominate. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, and so you spoke to Ray Lewis. You've been able to chop it up,
No,
or
no,
more
no.
so just like looking at him from
Yeah, look
afar.
at a lot of like YouTube. I mean, YouTube has everything. I look at all his motivational speeches before games. I still watch the same motivational video to this day. I watched it last what's today, Monday, Saturday night. Do a little workout real quick too. It just gets me going. But what's crazy, speaking of, is I'm actually in contact with his mentors, and I'm supposed to
Okay.
get time with them tomorrow. Actually, at UCLA, my former strength coach, who has a lot of energy himself, got me connected. Keith Belton. He's now with the Dallas Mavericks, so he got me connected and plugged in. So I think I am supposed to meet him here in the next few weeks, which would be very cool.
Well, I love it too because I had the opportunity to shoot some of the Senior Bowl, and one of my favorite shots is you coming
Ah,
out of the tunnel.
ah,
Yeah, dude. I was like, bro, with the smoke and like it
yeah,
kind of looked like snow a little bit, and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
brought out the Ray Lewis. I was like, oh, like I already liked you enough, and then I was like, all right, signed, sealed, and delivered. How do we get this guy to become a Niner? Like this is crazy. Like
Man,
what?
what's so funny? So, I'm really grateful I was able to start the game, and they had the first 11 starters come out of the tunnel. And they told me I was the last one.
Yeah,
And man, like in the tunnel, I was just playing around, like what I'm gonna do. I'm not just gonna run out, give it a little of this. And I
yeah.
was playing around with the raid, and I didn't really hit it right. I was playing around with it, And I was like, nah, I ain't gonna hit it. Like, I ain't even gonna do it. And then boom, last minute they called my name, and I just kind of flowed, and
Yep.
I did it, and it looked pretty cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
video tough for sure.
Dude, it was so fire. Like I was like, right when you went into it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a phenomenal shot. And like this is shot
Yeah,
from my cell phone right here. Um, like and again, it to me, it spoke to kind of what we saw all week from you. Energy, energy, energy. And then you go on the game and you have 2 sacks. Like, how did you feel at the end of it? All said and done, you got through it, you got through your interviews, you went and did what you had to do on the field. Were you like, was that another just huge confidence booster? And like,
nah, 100%,
I
hundred
know
percent.
that.
Yeah. So and then even going back to your previous question, the Senior Bowl is the best of the best,
Right.
right? So I'm doing what I'm doing against the best of the best.
Hmm.
That only sparks my confidence to a whole nother level, And then considering, the game, they said that game that we had might have been one of the best games ever in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was crazy.
because it was a really good game, man. It was 19-8. It was 8-8 at halftime. We went up 19-8. They came back and won game winning play, and Jake Beck obviously had a great catch, and it was an honor for his
Yep.
brother. I can't be mad at that, But um, it was just a dope moment, man. The whole week chilling with the guys, getting to meet great people from all across the country, build relationships that I'm still, linking up with today, and things like that. So. But when it was all said and done, man, I just had a spirit of gratitude. I was just grateful, man, just for the opportunity. My family was at the game. So you were at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
You were there.
I was on the field. Yeah.
Down it. Oh, yeah, was you recording?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, that's why you look familiar. That makes sense. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I
But
got you, man.
there was a play. I didn't really make the play, but there was a read option. Jalen Monroe, he had a read option, and I got back there quick, and I had to run him back. But it corrupted the whole play. Jalen got like 3 yards. Um, but I was able to punt it to my family in the stands because I was just vibing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was just a great time overall. The meetings, the people I met, the wisdom I learned, the knowledge that people gave me, and things like that. So great experience overall.
So you mentioned knowledge, and that's awesome. I'm glad you had a great time. Like again, your energy is infectious. You could see it from a mile away. So it's cool that you were able to experience that with your family and be able to, again, I mean, we know that this game is so mental. Like, of course,
Hmm.
we hyper focus on the physical elements, and that's extremely important. But I'm
Yeah.
sure and you can speak to it more than anyone. When you get to that next level, it's almost like who's better up here? Like who
Yep.
can manage the ups and downs? Who can, like you mentioned, scheming up your pass rushers, like gaming them up. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I want to get them thinking I'm hitting outside speed, and then boom, we're gonna hit a little inside counter move, like inside spin or something. Um, do you feel like that's a something that you really are honed in on, just the mental aspect of it?
100%. I mean, I believe, might not be right, but I believe it's an 80-20 balance. 80% mental,
100%.
20% physical. Because I think, like you mentioned, how can you go through ups and downs? A lot of people, when things get down, they go down. Their whole demeanor does. And I think I talked about Relentless Motor. There's a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. He was the trainer of Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. And it just talks about how having a relentless mindset can take you so far in life. And I feel like a lot of guys have a relentless body and a relentless, drive, but not the mindset. So I believe there's a lot of power to the mind. I mean, it drives your physical. So I think it's
Well,
very important.
it and drives improvement as well, and that's the thing. It's like I think that's why there's two rules of thought. I think when it comes to a player like you who is new to a position.
Hmm.
Oh well, can he really do it at the next
Yeah,
level?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then there's the other mindset. Well, it's like, look what he's doing now. Just wait. Just wait until he's got 2-3 years of just relentless work, relentless effort, and mindset. And again, if you have that with the physical tools, I think those were the players that teams would love to have. So I'm really excited about like learning more about who you are as a player. I'm a big fan. That's why I like doing these interviews with guys. It's just like who are like how do you think? How do you process information? And it sounds like yeah, you got a bright future ahead of you. But you also mentioned kind of like learning and interacting with certain people at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, there's one pretty strong 49ers tie that you got to work with all week, and that's
KJ Wright.
KJ Wright,
Yep.
Super Bowl winner. Obviously coaching with the San Francisco 49ers right now, but it was funny. I was just looking at KJ's profile. I'm like, oh, he's like 6'3", 250.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of the same size as you.
Yeah.
And now he was coaching edge, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so he's a former linebacker coaching
Edge
outside.
coach.
That's an interesting parallel. Watching you two guys interact all week. What was that experience and like building that relationship with KJ?
Yeah. So I'll take you back a little bit. So KJ obviously played for the Seahawks.
Right.
Now KJ's coach was actually Ken Norton Jr.
Okay.
So who was my coach my junior
Right.
year. So the moment I found out that KJ was the edge coach, I was in Dallas training. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then boom, he gives me a call a few hours later, and we just it's due to the fact that we both had the same coach, who was full of energy and comedy. We just had a natural click and a natural mesh, and that led into meeting in person. And then meeting in person was very natural, and just talked about life. And he's a big man of faith as well, so we connected about that and connected about his story and his upbringing and how he won and played 12 years in the league, I believe. So it was just overall great. We've been in contact as recently as well. So great dude. Much respect for him.
Dude, it was pretty fun because like it felt like, and this just could be me seeing things, but it felt like you, David Walker, the Central
I know
Arkansas edge
David.
as well, and KJ, like you guys are kind of bunch up every once in a while. I was like, I like this little trio right here.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
like these three.
yeah, yeah. Now that being in that D line room was so funny. Just great vibes. The whole week was incredible, man. The interactions, being able to compete. And it's funny because like the old linemen we're going against, they're our teammates. Like on Saturday we all on one team now, so it was just funny being able to talk smack and laugh and joke and things like that, but at the same time, play to win together as a team.
Absolutely. Was there an offensive lineman that you felt like, all right, this guy, I don't know, for whatever reason, this guy's gonna have a future in the NFL. This is a guy giving me some problems this week. A guy that's helping me get better, kind of elevate my game a little bit. Was there any offensive lineman that stood out to you?
No, no, not really. I mean, respectfully, but I think every
Yeah,
lineman there does have a future. Every lineman there
of
is
course.
there for a reason. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, less than a month away. What's we talked about you're doing the work, the physical work. What's the mindset shift? Like where are you at kind of locking in, getting ready for arguably what's going to be one of the biggest days of your life when you hear your name getting drafted, because you're going to get drafted. There's no way if you go undrafted, the league's broken. I'm gonna do something. I don't know, but like, what is that mindset like for you now that you're closing in on that?
Yeah, I think it's the number one thing is to not get complacent, to not get satisfied. I've been writing down recently like the biggest enemy of greatness is complacency. Obviously, it's good. The enemy of great is good, but I believe it's also
Okay.
complacency. So, just trying to have that mindset and even take it up a notch higher. From what even got me here, to find ways to continuously improve on the field, but also off the field. My personal life, my faith, my spirituality, my mentorship, and my guidance. Being a better son, being a better brother, finding ways to develop. I want to get into real estate one day and training. So just things that continues to help me to grow. I've had a theme. It's a scripture in the Bible. It's Psalm 84, verse 7. It just talks about from going from strength to strength. So I'm trying to find ways to go from strength to strength as well in life in general. So
Oh, dude, I love that. I love everything about it. And obviously, I guess your pre-draft process isn't over.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So I know there are going to be some local pro days, some visits you'll be doing. Is there any chance that you'll be making your way up to San Francisco for either the local pro day or a visit with the team?
No, I don't think so. So we just interviewed last week. Now the thing about me is I don't qualify for the local pro day.
Oh, dang!
Yeah, I don't qualify, and no 30. I don't think we're gonna do 30 visits. We've met a lot. I was with Coach KJ. We met at the
Right,
combine, met
right,
at the
right.
Senior Bowl. We had a forum at the combine, and then another interview. So I think they know all about me already.
Yeah,
So I
that's
don't think
fair.
we're gonna have a visit. But hey, you're right though. The process is this April's about to be crazy for me. So just just gotta stay locked in and stay faithful. So yeah.
Yeah, because I would imagine you're going to be flying in and out a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things. So again, it's that balance, right? Of
Yeah.
being mentally locked in, physically locked in, being able to do all that stuff. Are there any like pregame things that you do, like you feel like you got to lock in, or you got to listen to this one song, or anything? Like what does your pregame look like?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a super superstitious dude. I
Yeah,
kind of just
a
flow
little,
with not it's not superstitious. Maybe a little stitious, yeah.
a little stiff.
But I'll get on the plane or not the plane. The bus when we're on the way to the stadium. I'll throw on a little gospel, maybe some worship. At the
Okay,
same time, I'm watching some either a film or some highlights. I might watch like all time greats highlights from Michael Parsons or like I think
okay,
it's called play films, NFL play films. I might watch the sack highlights of the previous week in the NFL and just get vision of what I might do. I step off the bus, still got maybe Christian rap, gospel, R&B, Afro beats maybe, and then I get in the locker room, sit down for a little bit, might put a towel over my head and just relax, chill, calm before the storm.
yeah, yeah.
Then I walk out on the field. Might switch to some hip hop and rap. Might keep the gospel. Just depends on how I'm feeling. But that's usually the routine. And then I come back, take care of my body, talk to my teammates, visualize myself making plays, and then bring it to reality.
Absolutely. Is there a specific player that you typically watch? Is it Micah, or is it just pretty much anyone who's out there wrecking havoc from the
Yeah,
edge?
just like a habit. It's usually a combination of just all the sacks from the previous week in the NFL. So it
Okay,
would just
yeah.
be all the top sacks, top guys. If I do, might put on some Khalil Mack or
Ooh, that's
Micah or Bosa or just guys who have been leading the sack or the league in sacks for a few years.
absolutely. Kind of want to really quickly hone back in on some technical aspect. Would you consider yourself more of a power edge or a finesse edge or a combo?
I was gonna say a combo. Now I know on my tape I've done a lot of finesse, but I'm a powerful guy. The reason it took me so
Right.
long to figure it out is I didn't really know how to use power. Like I've heard it just took time, but I believe my strength is actually my power, which is gonna set up
Okay.
which is gonna set up the finesse. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Speed to power too.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, I like that. We got one question coming in. He says, "Top Dog or LA Street Tacos? Go to meal."
Top dog. I've never been to either actually. My
Do you have
apologies.
do you have like a post game meal, or is it just kind of like just give me food?
Uh, yeah, I'm real frugal, man. I'll take whatever the team gives us. Even I'm not with the team, but I'm still gonna get food from the facility. Why not? It's down the street. Save my money. I ain't tripping.
Heck yeah, man. Well,
Hmm.
anyways, dude, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this was a phenomenal conversation. And again, just I appreciate your time. I know the people in the chat are loving the insight, loving what you have to say. And I think, just really connecting the actual person
Yeah.
with what we see on film and on, when you're actually out there, making money, doing all that stuff that you do from the edge. So, dude, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. You can drop out a little bit. We're gonna do a little chatting in here, but I
Cool.
know you got some food to eat,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you so much, dude. Thank you so much for your time.
Nah, vice versa, man. Appreciate you, bro, for having me on, and shout out to the Bay, faithful baby.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll see you in the Bay in about a month or so. But hey, we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll
Anything
see.
can happen. You already
We'll
know.
see. All right, much love. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one. All right. That is Oluwafemi Oladejo. All right. Like I knew he was gonna be cool, but damn, he's cool. Uh you guys already know I was a big Oladejo guy, but now I couldn't even be any higher. The mindset, the mental makeup, we already know that he is quote unquote a raw prospect. Um, but you take into account that aspect of it, the ability to, I mean, the way he's wired, we talk about it all the time, right? We talk about it all the time. The hardest thing to scout is the person when it comes to determining, are these guys going to make it in the NFL? Are they going to last a long time in the NFL? I got money. I who am I going to bet? Because I got money that Oladejo is going to be a better pro than probably what his college production suggested. I think the sky's the limit for that guy. So shout out to him for coming on. And again, it sounds like he's had a healthy dose of interacting with the San Francisco 49ers. Sounds like him and KJ. See, that's one of the great things about the Senior Bowl and having some coaches that are a part of that. You heard about what they were able to talk about. They were able to get like, into like life outside of football, just really be able to feel like and understand what makes the person tick. And he's like, man, I don't even think I need to go on a visit to the San Francisco 49ers because I've met them so many times and discussed with them so many times across this process that he's like, they know me, they know who I am. So all right, let me ask you in the chat, yes or no, do the San Francisco 49ers need to draft Oluwafemi Oladejo in the top 100? Yes or no? I'm almost at the point where it's got to be almost top 75. And pretty soon I might be at the point where it's like, oh, it's top 50 for this guy. I mean, thankfully there is a loaded, to me, the meat of this draft between like 150 and like 30 is a lot of quality players. So if this is the thing, man, if you believe in a guy, like if you truly believe in someone and